filed for the 299th District Court. I am currently the mental health prosecutor for the Travis County DA's office. It's a position that Rosemary Lemberg created when she became DA, and in January she appointed me to set up a unit to divert the mentally ill out of the criminal justice system and find them the support and services they need. And that's part of the reason I'm running for judge. When you look at judicial candidates and when you decide and make a choice on who to vote for, I think there are three things that you should look for. They are courage, compassion, and commitment. Courage. Courage to make the right choices. Courage that comes only from handling hundreds of similar felony cases. In addition to being in the Travis County DA's office, working in the mental health unit, and being the acting chief of the 390th District Court, where I was in charge of the other prosecutors prosecuting felony cases, I've also been an assistant U.S. attorney and prosecuted major crimes, federal crimes in Brooklyn, New York, multi-million-dollar fraud cases, drug trafficking cases. I've seen a lot of things, and we'll probably get into that more as we go forward, but I've had the experience necessary to make the right decision. The second thing I mentioned, though, is compassion. And I think that's even more important, because I have seen that it doesn't take courage to throw people into jail and prison. That's easy. That's a no-brainer. It's not hard for a judge to do that. What's hard is for a judge to have compassion to get that person the help and the services that they need to stay out of jail and to get reintegrated into the community and become successful parts of the community again. And that's what I've been doing as a mental health prosecutor. And that's why I will continue, what I will continue to do is a judge of the 299th District Court. The third thing I mentioned is commitment. Three types of commitment. Commitment to public service. My father was in public service for 57 years. He taught me that what you do is you give back to the community, and commitment to justice. And that's what I have been trying to do my entire professional career and will continue to do on the bench. Thank you.
So here I am running for possibly a judicial race. So why? Well, this is where I grew up. I have been here since 1976. This is my home and your home for many of you. And I think that as a judge, anybody who works in the criminal justice system, you've got to have an appreciation and a respect for the community around you. And I think you've got to know the community. I think you've got to understand when it's appropriate to send someone to prison, perhaps a violent offender, and when it's appropriate to give them rehabilitation. Now, I have tried over 100 jury trials in this community. In this community, I specialized in child abuse cases and sex crimes for the most of my career as a prosecutor in your district attorney's office. And when you do that, you walk away knowing what jurors and what the pulse of this community is, and what people expect from the judiciary, the prosecutors, and the defense bar. I can say that I have been a part of the prosecution and the defense bar in this community for over 10 years. And I believe that that experience has enabled me to look around and see what I like from the justices we have right now, and perhaps things that I think might need to be improved. And take that and be a candidate for your judge. And that's what I hope to accomplish. So again, thank you so much for having me, and I look forward to your questions.
Eve
Schatelowitz. I know it's difficult, and I'm a criminal defense attorney at the moment, and I have been for the past few years. Most of my clients call me Miss Eve. I do a great deal of pro bono work. I do a great deal of court-appointed work. I also have retained clients. I do federal criminal defense. I also handle felonies, state misdemeanors. I'm running, and I know that some people have said, well, who is Eve Schatelowitz and why is she here, and isn't she joining late? And quite frankly, I don't think any of the three of us have joined late at all. Judge Barrett announced a week ago that he would be retiring and not seeking office again. So this bench is open for the three of us, and I feel personally an obligation to the community, having been a prosecutor at the Travis County Attorney's Office and having defended people both court-appointed and retained in the federal and the state system. I understand that there's a void when it comes to the bench. As a judge, if I were to be elected as a judge, I would take a great deal of interest in how are we going to handle cases on a case-by-case basis. I'm not going to be the judge who's going to sit at the bench and listen to the defense attorney and the prosecutor come and tell me how a case is going to be resolved and that's the end of it. I want to know. I care about victims. I care about defendants. I care about the entire community. It's really, really important to me that everyone is heard. I'm married to a state trooper who's been a trooper for 16 years. My father is a Travis County deputy. He's been with TCSO for 23 years. My mother just retired as a federal employee after 29 years of service to the federal government. I come from this background and I come from public service, and this is exactly where I belong, and that's where I intend to stay. And anything I can do for the community, please come and talk to me and let me know what your needs are. Thank you.
You've got to understand that people come from different circumstances and different backgrounds. They don't necessarily match your own. And you've got to think about the choices that they have had before them. You know, you can go down on the street and sell dope and make a pretty easy dollar. Or you can go, you know, to an abusive home life where everybody around you is doing drugs. These are choices that these kids are faced with. And I think it warrants and merits questions and deliberation. I've got a case right now in Williamson County. Guy's never been in trouble before. He was dealing drugs, arguably. I think there's a problem with the search, but we won't go there right now. 30 years is the offer. 30 years. I mean, it was laughable. That is absolutely absurd to me. Even if the man is guilty, even if the search is good, 30 years on a drug case where he's never been in trouble before. That's ludicrous, and that's an example of how you've got to know your community, because that would never fly with a jury in Travis County, I can tell you that. And as a judge, that is not something that I would hand down.
I've been working hard on this issue in the mental health area for the past 6 months, really trying to find alternatives to jails and prisons. And I think it's even more important when you're dealing with young people, because the one thing that we know for sure, if that young person is not in a gang, when they go to prison, when they get out, they will be in a gang. You know, research has shown us and experience has shown us that we are not helping that young person by teaching them a lesson. And we need to find ways to get them back into the community. And it really is about listening. And I think that that's exactly what the judges that are making a difference, and this is one thing that Charlie Barrett, if you've heard him speak, talked about all the time, is his ability to listen and figure out what was going on. We have to think about the collateral consequences of a felony conviction, the things like not being able to get a job. You know, we can't take young people and just foreclose all their opportunities for the rest of their lives.
I think the reason people don't vote is because they don't have their basic needs met. I think people want to vote. I think people care. I think if we look at the election for President Obama, we can all see that we all need hope and we all care, and that people need basic services. And aside from knocking on doors and saying, please vote for me and I care about you, it's a matter of community service.
As a prosecutor, my goal has always been to do justice.